Hey guys, it's episode 7. We're going to talk today about a few degrees. And the big difference there came out of just a few minutes ago. I was working with a patient, and one of the things that he was doing one of the wobble chair exercises. We're working on the range of motion, the XYZ axis for the spine. And so just a little bit of upward angle of his lower back is able to really deeply get into a stretch. And I just showed him, hey, sit up just a little bit. He's like, oh. The eyes got really big. He's like, I feel that, and I was just reminded of how massively different a few degrees can make in other areas of your life. And so the beauty is that there's so much that you can change. The movement, the angles, you can get a much deeper stretch. You can get a much better amount of health in range of motion in the spine, for example. So the chiropractic example, a few degrees correction in the spine opens up the nerve system in such a way that can mean the difference between headaches or migraines and literally not. Like in my own personal example, I used to deal with those relatively often and can get incredibly severe. And so thankfully drug-free and don't need to fight through those things as I do, as long as I maintain that. Now, another layer of that, a few degrees can make the biggest difference when it comes to even digestive problems in the lower spine or versus not. Just literally a few degrees can make all the difference in the world. If you remember Christopher Reeves a few Supermans ago, about 1 centimeter was the amount of change, so literally like the width of my pinky changed his world when he had an accident and the top bone in his neck slid forward and pressed on the spinal cord, and he was literally quadriplegic after that injury, and he had to have a pacemaker for his heart, ventilator for his lungs, and all that happened from just a little bit of a shift or a movement there. So nerve system's key. That's the big point in taking care of that, opening up the pressure there as much as we can. And then his is a more extreme example, but we all deal with a few degrees here, a few degrees there in our lives. Andy Stanley's The Principle of the Path, I would encourage you to take a look at that. And so the principle there is if you change your life trajectory just a few degrees from where you were headed, let's say you're headed right now, I've got this protractor where you can measure some degrees, and we do that on the x-rays, but not to be confused with an amateur tractor. This guy's a professional. He's a pro. Anyways, silliness done. But the point is that if your life is headed a particular direction right now, and you change it just a few degrees, and then you add that up over time, and you can see how massively different a trajectory you can end up at. You can completely change your destination by changing a few degrees and then over time. And then the cool thing is that then time is on your side rather than working against you because you've made a change, even small changes. Like the whole concept of how do you eat an elephant, right? How do you do that? One bite at a time. And so you just keep moving and you just keep going. It's that same idea. Temperature is the same way. Let's say you've got water and you've got it heated up to 210 degrees. You still have water, right? Now just a few degrees more, what do you have? You have a completely different state of water boiling into a gas, and it can travel across the room, and you can literally not even see it. And so you've got from 210 degrees Fahrenheit, you've got water, and then 212 degrees Fahrenheit, you've got steam. Completely changed from water from a liquid to a gas with just that few degrees of change. And so my encouragement to you is just to make a few degrees of change for your life, just a little bit here, and you can end up in a massively different place. And so the tiny chunks, step by steps, just a few degrees here, a few degrees there, can lead you to a completely different place in your life. But here's the key: you have to actually move those degrees.